The moment you've all been waiting for! Kirby Planet Robobot, the most popular game in the series. This game has quite the reputation among Kirby fans as not just a great game, but the best Kirby game. So today, I'll be examining whether that's really truthful. So the basic idea. As you can see, it goes for a more mechanical theme, but it's actually really clever here. Basically, mechanical invaders take over Kirby's home and mechanize it, basically meaning to make it more mechanical. So now Kirby has to chase down these mechanical invaders and stop their evil plan. Overall, it's a solid plot, but the lore in this game is somewhat ridiculous, but we'll get to that later. So now, Kirby can utilize Robobot armor that the invaders use to take back his home. And honestly, the Robot armor is pretty cool, considering it can turn into many forms based on abilities. Probably my favorite is a wheel. And to be honest, though, of the main gimmicks so far, of the main three, including Hypernova and super abilities, it's the worst of the three. Because while it is very fun to utilize, I prefer Hypernova and super abilities because they felt more of a natural extension to what Kirby is, not just robot suit, even though it is better for actually making sense of the plot, which I do appreciate. And yes, if you're a major Kirby fan, and if you're a newer Kirby fan, yes, I know, Kirby may not have much plot, but if you really look into it, there's a lot of lore, and it's really, really interesting. So yeah, it's pretty great. And of course, the level design is very solid in this game. It's really, really fun to play. So, now let's talk about the collectibles, since, well, like most Kirby games, it offers little collectibles for playing through it and finding them. Of course, you just saw me collect a code cube, which is quite a simple collectible. It's basically just the Sunstone. There's really not much to say. And then there's the stickers. Basically, this game's equivalent of keychains. And unfortunately, I do not like them. While the stickers are really nice, I personally think the stickers are kinda ugly, and often don't even have much to do with the series. Like the legendary Zero. And no, I don't mean the villain Zero. He did get a sticker, though. There's literally a number 0 sticker. Actually, no, there's 1 through 9, which is just kind of dumb. Of course, a lot of them also do reference the classic series, but I don't think we need graffiti or kanji to be related to Kirby in any way. It's not really important. Though, I could definitely use the kanji since I'm learning Japanese. Just a little bit, surely. So, yeah. Despite the criticism I've been giving it, though, Planet Robot is definitely one of the best Kirby games ever made. Of course, the level design is great. The music is very good in this game. Very, very good. Probably not the best Kirby music ever made, but a lot of songs here are definitely good enough to be considered some of the best Kirby songs ever made. One personal example for me is the final phase of the secret final boss, which is a remix of Nova's theme from Kirby Superstar, and it is amazing. And it also has the best final boss theme in the series to boot. It has an amazing OST. So overall, is there anything else I can really praise for this game? Well, yes. The classic characters that return here are amazing. You're actually going to see one return in this very level. And my goodness, did they go all out with referencing classic games here. Not only did we get the return of a boss that hadn't appeared since Superstar Ultra, but we also got the return of multiple final bosses, including the final boss of Dreamland 2 and Triple Deluxe for some reason. I did not expect fan service referencing a game that just released 2 years ago, but I'm perfectly happy with it. So now, though we've talked about a lot of what the game tries to go for, let's talk about the overall late game. The late game is incredibly good, particularly because it features my favorite boss fight in the series. Well, okay, it would have been if the secret final boss just wasn't an even better version. Honestly, this is just a very good game boss fight-wise, too. Not just because a lot of them are fan service like Holo Defense API, but they're just really fun battles. So yeah, back to the late game. It's just really good, and starts doing some massive lore dumps, because Kirby has a lot deeper lore than most few newcomers would expect. Overall, though, what more do I have to say? The lore is amazing, too, honestly. The best stories the series has ever told. Yeah, Revenge of the King can't beat this. And there's Capula from Dreamland. Overall, though, I love the lore. And Meta Nightmare is also a really fun mode that you get for beating the game, where you get to play as Meta Knight. It's basically Meta Nightmare Ultra, but Planet Robobot this time. Not dissing it. Meta Nightmare Ultra was already a fantastic mode. And yeah, the true arena is as brutal as usual. In fact, it's probably the most brutal it's ever been. Which I am very happy about. It's very difficult to get a 100% file. So, yeah, great music, but now let's talk about the sub-games, which are there. The first one is Team Kirby Clash, which is more of an RPG-styled Kirby game, where you have to use 4 players, though you can use AI too, and 4 different roles to defeat powerful enemies. And it's alright. It's nothing too complicated, but it is quite fun for what it is. And Kirby 3D Rumble is actually the first time we ever got 3D Kirby, and it's alright. Won't exactly call it thrilling or anything, but it is enjoyable for what it is. To be honest, I'd say none of them come close to the highs of last game's Kirby Fighters, and none of them come close to the lows of last game's DDD's Drum Dash. So overall, though, this is another thing I really have to say about this game is it's amazing for newcomers. It's probably the best Kirby game to start with. It has a lot of great stuff that the series would do really well, so it can be a very good hook for the game. And it doesn't excel so much that previous games don't come close. It's the perfect kind of quality for a first game. It's a really solid one. And of course, as I keep saying the music is amazing, I'm just saying it again because this particular one is one of my favorites. But of course, you can't have a new Kirby game without new abilities. So how are this game's new abilities? They're alright. We have Poison, ESP, and I forgot the other one because honestly, whatever. Poison, ESP, and Doctor, that's what it was. And unfortunately, Doctor falls into a camp that a lot of recent Kirby games have been falling into. And that's simply that they're too complicated for me to fully enjoy. Poison is alright. It would be better if it dealt more damage to bosses, though. It more or less deals overtime damage by laying pools of poison on the ground. But, oh my Amaterasu! ESP is absolutely ridiculous. It's an attack that can go anywhere on screen. You can float permanently in the air while using it unless you deal damage to an enemy 3 times. But you can easily press the attack button to get to attack again. Yeah, of course it's broken. Why don't you ask? Honestly, it's an easy contender for one of the best Kirby abilities ever. And overall, I just love everything about this. Whoops. That's... close. How do I get rid of the ability? How do I get rid of the ability? Okay, so both just work as pause. There we... Too late. But what I'm saying is, this is one of the best Kirby games. And yeah, like I said, ESP is just beautiful. It's a great game visually, too, with how it utilizes its technology aesthetic. This is probably one of the most popular Kirby games because it just does a lot of what Kirby does better than most games have done so far. And that's a very high praise, because Kirby is one of the best game series out there. So overall, Planet Robobot is an amazing game. Where does it land on my current series ranking, though? I'd probably place it at number 2, because for what it does do right, some other games have done things better. Triple Deluxe did the cool, pretty collectibles to look at thing much better with the keychains, because they actually referenced the series and didn't look hideous. Here's the SP, guys! And also, I just don't really like how they handled the overall Robobot armor, not being a natural extension of what Kirby is. But other than that, this is one of the best games in the Kirby series. It's very sensible to see why many would call this the best Kirby game. So if you're new to Kirby, pick this up now. You won't regret it. So, yeah, it's an amazing game, as everyone says. And we'll see you next time when we review Star Allies.